Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday morning, June 22nd, in this wonderful year of 2022. Welcome back to the conversation. I'm Bill Barker. I'm glad to be back here with you this morning. Let's hear from everyone. Who's out there this morning? We're going to have a great conversation this morning. We're going to have a great time together. I'm jazzed up about today, and I look forward to seeing who's here. So let me hear from you. Who's out there? Where are you coming from? We're in beautiful Naples, Florida this morning. It's a gorgeous morning outside. Not too hot yet. And we're getting ready for a good week. So let's see. Hey, Lori, good talking to you earlier this week. I'll get back to you on what we're talking about, but good to see you. Hey, Allison, how are you doing? Good morning. Nicole, great to see you. Lori, hey, Lori, I talked to you a couple of times yesterday. Good seeing you this morning. Christian, how you doing? Good to see you. Beautiful Sarasota. I know where you are. It's awesome. All right, South Florida, Bill Ritchie, good to see you. Carolyn, good morning. I know where you are too. Montreal, wow. I wouldn't mind being up there with you, Lisa. I could use a little bit cooler weather, I think. Good morning. Good morning, Al. Good morning to you. Hey, Robin Langton, my good buddy. Beautiful Sarasota, Florida. Yes, it is indeed. Not far at all, almost in the neighborhood. And Roberta, yeah. Salutations is right from beautiful North Alabama. Yeah. I used to do a lot of business in lower Alabama, Beretta, and I used to say, I'm over in LA working today, I bet you've heard that before. Happy Wednesday to you, Angela. Hey, Nikki, good morning. What a great crowd we got this morning. I hope there's others out there too that just too asleep or don't want to get on and say hi yet, but let's keep that going. Here's what we're going to do today. Right. We've been 23 weeks. This is our 24th week together. Can you believe it? Go all the way back to January. Can you remember back that far? We've had some really great conversations. I hope you can see that to get as much content as we have in many of our weeks into 20 minutes takes a little bit of effort to get it organized and consolidated. And I do want to thank my wife, Rita. Some of you know she's been very helpful in this, and Jim and Karen and Jody have just been a great inspiration. Hey, Jeff, good morning to you. And I think we've packed a lot in. So what we're going to try to do over the next couple of sessions now is really talk about application. And I'm going to ask you to help me because I need your help. And I really want this to be a conversation. We've talked about this being a conversation since we began. And what we're going to try to do over these next couple of weeks is recap, reflect, and we're going to run a gold thread through all those things. Hey, Rebecca, good to see you, that we've discussed and connect them to create really a holistic approach to leadership. An approach, application is what we're going to talk about more now, right? Get theories great, concepts are great, case studies are great, examples are great, but if you can't take that, hey, Robin, Knoxville, Tennessee, one of my old stomping grounds where I went to school. Love it there. I bet it's nice and cool there too. But now is the time to really take those understandings and concepts and bring them down to how are we going to apply them to make a difference in our lives and in our businesses. Now it's about results. So today we reflect back on the first 10 or so sessions and discuss the key takeaways. That's what our goal is, okay? We will do similar next week. And then we're going to put a beautiful bow around it at the end and bring it all together in preparation for our wonderful capstone discussion on the last session as we lead in to August the 3rd in beautiful Point Vedra for our capstone project in the annual meeting. One of the things we are looking to do is for those that can't be there, do a recap after that, maybe mid-August, for those that would like to hear more about what we end up putting together as that final program, give you the highlights of some of that. That may be a really nice way to tie that all together. But what we're really looking for today is for you to interact as a group, right? I've got a lot of content to go over, but more importantly, I'd love to hear and discuss and address any of your questions you have. Think about questions you have related to what we've discussed, related to putting these concepts into action. Think about things you have underway right now that you're responsible for, that you're leading through, and let's talk about them. Let's talk about that application piece. And as we go through and remind kind of what the takeaways from that session, some of these things I hope will pop into your mind like, wow, I'd like to know a little bit more about how I could take that concept, apply it here, and get a better result on this project I'm responsible for, or this revenue goal that I'm trying to hit, or this project, or this sales pitch that I have coming up, right? So, we're back in a time, unfortunately, of a little instability. We've got a little bit of COVID popping up. Hey, Darren, good morning to you from Georgia. Hey. Love Georgia. I lived in Gainesville for a good period of time, and we want to really talk about these things in that context, right? So let's get to it, because we're kind of in that unstable time again, and it's a great time for you to be a beacon of confidence for those around you. All those things we're fixing to talk about, and it's also a time for you to be inspiring, right? So let's chat it up. Remember August 3rd, Capstone. We're going to get into that later too. So throw your questions in as we go, but here we go. So we started this session on leadership talking about what does it mean to lead. Remember that? So what does it mean? And we talked about that. And simply, in its simplest terms, lead is to listen, to edit, to act, and to deliver. Now, when we think about this in terms of application, we talk about talking is not communicating. And the essence of communication starts with listening, to have clarity on what you are trying to express. What are you trying to understand? There's depth to that, right? So as active listening, is really when you're trying to get to the point someone's trying to express that may be deeper than where they're starting the conversation, right? It's probing. It's going to level 3 and 4 questions. It's going deeper into that conversation. Remember, we talked about how depth translated to caring, translated to a deeper relationship. See, as we talk through these things, they all tie together. They all stack up. We talked about how no one cares what you know until they know how much you care. And you can't get to that level of really having a deep relationship until you probe and be patient and give it time. And some of the most meaningful relationships develop out of conversations that are hard, that are about performance, or might be about conflict. And out of those resolutions to perform better, to resolve conflict, becomes a deeper understanding of each other, of what we're trying to do. The commonalities. Remember, we talked about find commonality with those that you're working with, that those that you're negotiating with. There's always commonality. No matter the degree to which you may be different, there's always commonality, right? So listening to your team and empowering them to succeed by ensuring they have what they need and digging deep into that. What are you trying to accomplish? How can I help? Keep chatting it up. If there's questions out there, I'll pause on any of this and directly address your questions. Editing. You remember we talked about essentialism. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. But in reality, Andy came on and talked about your most valuable activities and all that. But editing is huge. If you've read the book Essentialism, remember we pointed to a chapter in there that was specific to editing out the many trivial, time-consuming tasks that rob your focus from the essential few. Very, very, very important. I would say of all the things within this lead context we're talking about here now, listening, editing, acting, delivering, editing out the many trivial, time-consuming tasks that rob your focus of the essential few. And if you haven't read the book Essentialism, I still refer you to it, and I would refer you to that section. Every major film that's won an Oscar, the editor was either won or nominated, most of the time won, because think about it, they got 6 hours of wonderful content. Think about how hard this is. I'm an editing person. I'll be honest, it's hard. I need an editor. I need to get that stuff, my content narrowed down. But think about if you had 6 hours of wonderful content produced, it cost millions of dollars, and you had to get it down to an hour and a half. That's a true skill. That's what we're talking about, taking out. It doesn't mean the stuff that we're asking you to eliminate is not important. Doesn't mean it's not good. It just means it's not as valuable as the essential few things that you could be doing. Acting. Are you acting in a manner that demonstrates what you expect? Remember, we talk about modeling the way, and we're going to get into that more and other things. But are you acting in ways that demonstrate what you expect? You are demonstrating what good looks like, right? And are you delivering on the vision? We talk about vision and goal setting, objectives, and all that. Are you delivering on the vision, the goals, the objectives that you have set forth for your organization? Are you ensuring the cleanest and purest and shortest path to those results? If you are, then you're leading. Remember, leadership's influence, nothing more, nothing less. It's really about influence. And if you are listening, editing, acting, delivering, you're leading. So let's go into the second series of what we talked about. Then we talked about the 5 practices, and this is probably my sweet spot here that I enjoy the most. The 5 practices of exemplary leadership that have stood the test of time. So now we've talked about what it means to lead. Now we're going to go put those into practice. Remember, what we're talking about today around application is not being a teacher, a professor, a philosopher on leadership. It's about being a practitioner of leadership. Taking your experiences, your skills, your relationships, and applying those experiences to influence others, to improve the work environment, to improve the community environment, to improve whatever you're in by bringing your influences in a true and genuine way for betterment. Remember, we got into servitude leadership, servant leadership and all that, and then purpose and meaning. We're going to talk about that more next week. But see how it all really ties back together. So when you start practicing these things and they see that genuineness and that transparency and that authenticity in you, trust me, they will get behind you and it will improve everything you're involved in. All right, there's a good one. Yep, that is a great book. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy it and keep reading it. And he's Barbetta's put up a link to it on Amazon where anybody that doesn't have it can get it right there. All right, so let's think about what those 5 principles are again. Inspire shared vision. We talked about what that means. We'll get into that a little more. Model the way, right? You've got a vision. You're inspiring it. You created a path to it. Now you're modeling how that looks in action. You're encouraging the heart. You're getting people behind you through your encouragement, your example, etc. But here's the kicker. This is the biggest one to me. A challenge the process mentality, right? You are comfortable having conversations around things that people are not clear on. Good morning, Half Moon, New York. Love it. Saratoga County, beautiful part of the world. Good horse racing up there out here too. And secondly, hey, good morning. Hey, Julianne, good morning to you. And as we think about that challenge of process concept, really what that says is I am open to hearing what you have to say. And what I've said to people about that is everyone has a right to understand what we're doing as an organization, what we're doing as a team, what we may even be doing as individuals as part of that team. We have a right to ask questions about that, to probe and to understand better, because through that understanding becomes a deeper depth to all those other things we're talking about, relationships, commitment. That's why at the Capstone, we're talking about doing something around in some form of psychological testing where you understand your makeup, your values, where they come from, and then how those differences complement between teammates, respecting those differences and making everything better through the complementary outcomes of working together through high degrees of respect. And that's very important. So challenging the process is your best way to demonstrate your willingness to be pushed. And in doing that, you're going to learn a lot. And the more comfortable you get with that, the better. But I will tell you that is the one I see people struggle with the most because it is complicated. I've told many people, listen, you have a right to know anything you want to know, and I'll be as transparent as you want. You may not always love the answer, right? But at least understand you have an answer. You have the answer, and I hope you can get behind it. That's fair in everything, because not in no way with tens and 20s and hundreds of people working on something that you're going to always have 100% alignment and agreement and consensus. But as long as you have the willingness to be challenged and have those conversations, you're going to be better off. You do those 4 things real well, you have now enabled others to act, and that is the beautiful thing. You as a leader want people to feel comfortable taking action, doing things, making things, producing things, the comfort to be willing to take those actions and know that sometimes they're not going to be right. I've been doing a lot of counsel with CEOs that struggle with the decision-making process to a degree. They have an inherent concern for downside, which is understandable, particularly now as a CEO and other things. The more you've got to do today, you used to be good at a balance sheet and you could be a good CEO. You got results, you had a good balance sheet, you're okay. That is so not the job anymore. You've got to deal with social issues. You got to deal with reputation. You got to deal with culture. You got to deal with so much more today. And the ability to unlock people's potential and know that they can operate in an environment where they have the safety to try things and be innovative and test concepts and ideas, man, you've created something pretty special. And what I tell them, if you give them the latitude to make those decisions and counsel against their judgment, if you take responsibility for someone, you take responsibility from them. And as a leader, you never want to take the burden of the entire team onto yourself. You want to share that responsibility toward a common vision so everybody rises up and lifts hard to get to that end, right? That then allows them to take action. It allows you to counsel against their action and their judgment on what they chose to do. Back to those essential few. If they're doing things that aren't as productive as they could be, that's coaching that helps them really collaborate, and they're going to have a high degree of respect for you. John Quincy Adams says it this way: if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. Take that to the bank. I think that's great. So, a few questions. Do your actions inspire others? People hear your words, but can they feel your enthusiasm? Remember, we talked a lot about that. Do they sense your belief in the dedication to the vision? Are you dedicated? Is this just a job, or is it more? Are you dedicated to the vision you have and the outcomes you're trying to achieve? Leadership, we said, is not a position. It's an action. Very, very important. Leadership is not sitting at the top of a pyramid. Jim flipped his organization over on the side. It's not sitting at the top of the pyramid. It's standing in front, modeling the way forward, opening the path, pulling people along, not behind pushing, pulling, making things happen. Essential to modeling the way forward is encouraging the heart. We talked about that. Encouraging the heart is essentially expecting the best of people, investing in their success, and making sure they know their contributions matter and they make a difference, right? That's encouraging the heart. That's leadership. Really love the topic. Never give someone responsibility without authority to act. Absolutely right, Liza. Absolutely right. Challenging the process is also critical. We talked about that. Exceptional leaders are good at encouraging their teams to test their perceived limits. Woo! That's good. Encouraging their teams to test their perceived limits and to test new approaches and methods, and give them the latitude. Remember, test new approaches and methods. That's challenging the process. Thomas Edison, pretty smart guy who invented the light bulb, said it this way: if there's a way to do it better, find it. So short and sweet. I love it. The fifth of the time-tested leadership principles is enabling others to act. And what I was getting at there, do you enable others in the organization to do great things? So if you do, give us some examples. I think that could be cool. So what are some examples where you've opened up the door to allow people to be great, to do great things? If you look on my LinkedIn thing, it says do something great today or something like that. We all have potential to grow into great leaders and do extraordinary things beyond what we can imagine. Ralph Nader, an American author and lecturer, said it this way: the function of leadership is to produce more leaders, not more followers. When we talked about this session, I got more response from that than I have a lot of the other quotes. I think you get that, right? The function of leadership is to produce more leaders, not more followers. We need leaders. Leaders are influencers. They get things done. It's not about title. It's not about authority. It's about influence. I think that's what I said. And that is very true. So why do we put it's why we put in this series and gave some insights and inspiration and motivation you need to lead. So here's what we were talking about in that space. And we got a couple of minutes to go here. And I got about 20 minutes more stuff. So we're doing good. If you're employing the practice of inspiring a shared vision, modeling the way, encouraging the heart, challenging the process, and enabling others, regardless of your position in life, then you are really setting yourself up as being a great servant leader that operates with purpose and meaning. You will get things done. Okay? One of the most difficult things to do is lead through times of uncertainty and change. We got into that session. I think that session if you reflect back on it, it's probably incredibly important to think about right now where we are today. Fear of the unknown is human. So in organizations where complacency has set in and the visibility of what lies ahead is low, it's common to have high levels of fear and uncertainty, and they can take hold and they can take strong hold and affect your organization's ability to produce. It's true that change can be challenging at all levels, but I have learned, I can tell you, it's almost invigorating to lock arms with people during these times in a shared vision and meet those challenges brought by change, especially if you embrace the challenges with an open mind to the opportunity. So the 3 C's, and I'm going to end it here, and then I'm going to get to, Angela made a good point I want to get to. The 3 C's of life around leadership are choice, chance, and change. Remember, you must make the choice to take the chance if you want anything in life to change. Choice, chance, change. Remember, you must make the choice to take the chance if you want anything in life to change. So Angela says, I think it's open conversations with your staff to gather an understanding of their goals, their dreams, their interests, and then finding ways within the organization to allow them to prosper. I think that's a great way to end today. Jim, are we giving a book away today? If we are, hit the note. If I do, I think oh yeah, I like that too. But I want to give one to Angela because I think that's a great quote she closes on. And also we're going to give one to Lisa from Canada. We're going to send it all the way to Canada because if you come in from Canada this early in the morning, we are important to us. Angela got one last week. All right, Jim says, Angela, you're out. You've already been a winner too many times. So we're going to send this one to Canada. Angela, I'll give you one when we come over to the Capstone. On essentialism, we will, yep, she just said, I got one last week. Great. Barbetta said, I assign team leaders to special projects. You learn quickly who needs a little coaching and who are the natural leaders. Excellent point, Barbetta. Give them a chance and see what they're made out of. I love it. All right, everyone, we're over time. I hope you got a little bit out of this one. I love this stuff. I love doing it with you. You guys are great. We will see you again next week, do more of this, and then we're going to wrap up with our capstone planning the following week. We'll see some of you, most of you, I hope, in Point Vedra, and we will yeah, there you go. Give her a ticket to attend Capstone, Angela. I think we can make that happen. You all be good, and we'll talk to you next week. And in the meantime, lead on